Welcome everyone to another episode of the Train Studio. I'm your host, Sean Morris. Today on the Train Studio, we're going to be updating the Lord of the Rings Hobbit project, giving you a walkthrough of what's going on here in the project. So effectively what we have been working on over the last few days is getting more and more of the landscapes put in. You can see it sort of having this evolutionary flow of foam added and transitions put in, and you can see I'll talk a little bit about the resin prints that we have here for the Hobbit holes, but just kind of walking you through where we're at right now, orienting you from bag end down through. So effectively this first row here has got all the foam layers in. It's a little confusing to see, but these are the roads here, and these are just the transitional elements. And so everything's been basically loose cut and put through. The next thing is going to be coming in and actually carving out and sculpting some of these down to a little bit more of a topography type level. So we're not going to have these weird like half-inch or quarter-inch or 1-inch drops. So then when that goes in, that allows us to then have the area where the Sculptamold will go over. So it'll basically flow through here, but we don't want to have any large sections where we have like a half of inch of Sculptamold. So we want to have way less than that, because you're only going to really top layer this with maybe 1/8 of an inch or so of Sculptamold at the best, maybe quarter in some places if you're really trying to change the transitions. As we flow down through here, this is going to be an sort of off-board resin pour. You can see here where we have some of the Hobbit holes. So these were from a Kickstarter. They're really fabulous. Jay's printed them up on the new resin printer that we have. So we just basically printed one of each file, one of each item that we had, but some of them will be replicated throughout. So we're just working on the placements for those, and there's all kinds of really cool ones. That's like a 2-parter there, but you can use it in individual pieces as well. So you can really kind of, change up what the look is and mix and match the pieces, which is kind of cool. There's a number of other ones as well. There's a whole bunch over here. So just different variations of the Hobbit holes. So just working on cleaning them up, making them look just right. So this is going to be kind of the party tree area. So a little bit of a flatter area here with a little bit of a rise. So just finishing getting those in. You can see each piece has to be kind of painstakingly cut to fit within the box, and then also fit to transition to the adjacent elements, which is kind of a tricky piece. It takes a while to cut each and every piece. It's like a puzzle that we're both designing, then cutting apart, then remaking from paper to foam, and putting the foam back in, and then shaving it down. So got almost all of it done yesterday. I have a little bit more to do this morning, and then we're going to start carving in some elements. So a high portion over here, again, just 2 pieces there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, just to get the gradient down. That gives you, again, a stepwise fashion. Once you sand that, it becomes even half of that transition, and the Sculptamold makes that a really nice flow down through. Anywhere we see these kind of recess lines, that's just a transition between the paper templates and the foam. And then when you're cutting the foam, because you're hand cutting it and you can't cut it as clean as the paper in most cases, we put these little regresses in here just to account for any space requirements for each edge. And again, these are relevant, irrelevant when we actually do the Sculptamold. So coming down through here, another flat portion. So I need to have a little bit of a transition down here, and I'll show you kind of how we end off some of these. These are actually just put in to add a little bit of topography and a few bumps and mounds in and around the area. There is a pond actually underneath there. So that's actually cut in. So it's regressed into the foam. So that'll make a nice resin pour. It's glued, it's supported. There's no issues with pressing on that at all. It's actually bulked right up through to the bottom. And so that'll be a resin pour there. It's going to be a mound here because the Hobbit hole is going to actually be sort of coming out of the ground. And so we'll put another facing here, piece of either a bridge or some sort of fishing dock, likely there. The last sections that I really need to work on through here are basically bringing it from this down to this. And so in this section right here, I actually have to bulk most of this tile back up somewhere in the region of that level. So bringing that there and then transitioning that down, basically following the drop of this road. However, I also need to go from this section here, which is about 3 inches, and then bring that down. So this is going to be the most tricky because I have both a drop this way as well as this way, and I actually want to flatten this down into this low-lying area. So this will all be basically this layer here. With the mound here and then the mound transitioning off. So it's going to be really interesting because it'll create a really unique topography to the table. It's just going to be a bit tricky to do. So of course I left that till the end because I was getting tired yesterday and didn't want to use any more brain power. Here I have a small transition down, and we're going to create a little bit of a low lying patch here, basically flowing down to ground level. And then ground level is going to flow one more time down into this party tree area here. Then we have a little bit of a transition around these corners here. So anywhere where we sort of end off a flow of the landscape, it generally looks like this. So again, just cutting in from side profile, just cutting in a little bit of a recess here. Again, this hard edge gets shaved off, and then the Sculptamold goes up and over that. Bag ends here, so we do need to do a capper and make a mound for this one. So it's going to get basically one sheet that goes over it and then a mound built on top of it, then a tree on top of that. Again, just transitioning up here, down into here. This is a little bit of a recessed patch. This is supposed to be lower than the road. This is going to have a, not this one, but I'll just grab this just to show you. So what we're also going to be doing is building in the hobbit holes like so. And then once we get all the positions for these, we're going to paint everything first, then glue them in. And then we're going to use a combination of foam and Sculptamold to bulk them all in. And so it'll basically encase the hobbit hole like that where my hand is. And then everything else will get Sculptamolded around it. And then pretty soon, in the next month or so, we should see this guy getting far less pink, much more white, then brown, then green, and then finished as we get through the summer. So been working at it very, very slowly. Work's been busy. Jason's got a new job, so he's busy as well. But we've been doing some things on the side, like getting all these printed. When he's gone, he'll be painting. So then I'll be working on shaving, carving. He'll be painting. We'll bring it together. We'll glue that in. We'll sculpt the mold together, and then we'll get working on the green bits. You guys have also known, that we have been prepping up. We have hundreds and hundreds of plants, the 3D plants from Gamer's Grass, all ready to go. Jason's got those all folded up. We have trees out here. There's no foliage on it, but we got the foliage obviously ready to go as well. Just some more plants there. So that's ready to go. We're printing some bits and bobs, barrels, carts, etc. Those will be painted, those will be added. And then we got Sculptamold. There's a box right down there. 45 pounds of Sculptamold ready to be mixed up and then hand bombed across the entirety of this project. So, all right, guys, that's going to be the update video today. I'll probably do one more after today because we'll have probably have this done in here and then some of the shaving. So I'll do that. I'll put them both together in one video. So this will be the end of part one of this video. I'll give you an update at the end of the day, and I appreciate you guys watching as always. Stay tuned for more interesting stuff on this, as well as some more 3D print paints coming up as I'm prepping some more tables for Friday Night Fights. As well, if you guys were signed up last month and you're still here this month, don't forget card sleeves have already been ordered. That's your perk for the 2 months there, and I will send them off as soon as I get them. I know they're printing them right now. I was speaking to the art director this morning via email, and so I know they're off to print. So hopefully they get those done. They know that I want them, and they've been really good to me because I've ordered several times. And so as soon as I get them, you guys got them in hand. If you're wanting extra sets past what you have, just hit me up on Patreon. You guys know I always look after you. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next video. Cheers. Apologies for the lack of updates, but as you can tell from my voice, I've had none, so has been pretty much impossible to do many videos of any good quality. But the work has actually been progressing here in the last week or so, which is nice. Again, small hiatus through the springtime as I was exceptionally sick in the month of April and into May here, unfortunately. But I'm back working in the studio and wanted to share that with you. So apologies for the cracky voice, but I'll power through this and get you guys the update. So what we have happening here for the Shire project, as you can see, quite an evolution. I think there's a part one of this you guys would have seen, and that's kind of where we were shaping and carving and getting more pieces laid in. Almost all of the pieces have been laid in with the exception of the one small section through here. So twofold, wanting to show you kind of what it looks like in terms of how it begins. And you guys have seen this kind of throughout, but this is where it sort of starts, right, with this blocky sort of formations as I layer and layer in the transitional elements. So really moving from whatever height I need to start at to whatever height I need to get to. And then once those are laid in, we're coming in with the hot wire foam factory cutter and then cutting away the majority of the material and then doing some sanding. So Jace was actually helping me do that. And so he was working on some carving and I was working on cutting. So we're just finishing going through there. Again, we're just using that, that contact cement. Ended up putting this on here and then wanting to wait. I had to cut a few more pieces. So I just went ahead and let that set up. So this is what it looks like if you guys have never seen it when it's fully dry, and typically you won't because it'll be stuck down, but it goes on and it gives that sort of that yellowish tinge. So this is why you have to be kind of careful when you're working with this in and around anything that you wouldn't want to have discolor, because once you reactivate, some of that yellow will sort of seep through. So I won't typically use this on snow builds unless I let it set up for a long period of time. Once it's down there, as long as you're not rehydrating this, you're perfectly fine. But in fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to cut a skim layer off this so that I get back to a nice smooth surface, and then I'll go ahead and stick that on here. So it's not overly rough or anything like that, and you could actually work at peeling it up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut off one layer and then laminate that together. It won't matter. Sculptamold's going over the whole thing. And again, if you're working with snow, if that was your chosen top dressing, you could again seal that in with the Sculptamold. You again just want to be careful because Sculptamold will bleed a little gray and will tend to tone down any whites. If you're working with greens, yellows, browns, etc., none of this matters, but it is something to have consideration if in fact you are going to build a snow planet. And the reason I mentioned that is because when I posted these photos on the Facebook terrain page, many people think this is Hoth. I just let them run wild with that, and not a few people picked up. I even snuck a little Easter egg in, and only one person actually mentioned the Shire in the entire comment section. But you guys know what it is, and that's because you're here. So again, just building these pieces in. They will get glued in first and then shaped away. So a lot of what we've put on here, we've ended up cutting away. But the nice part about it is I'm hoping that you guys can really see the topography moving through here, right from this low layer and then up through as we cascade through the Shire Hills. So this sort of awkward section in the front, don't despair. That's actually where some hobbit holes are going to go. Let me grab one real quickly. Not this particular one, but these are from a Kickstarter. We decided to do these. We just got a new resin printer. Jace has that all set up, and so he's been printing and testing, getting pieces, and these turned out really great. There's about 11 different designs that we're going to incorporate into the build. And what they're going to do, not this particular one, but they're going to face up in to these sections. So we've actually cut each one to sort of marry up with an exact option that we want to use. This one, I believe, is going to fit up here, which is super nice. And so you can see the mounds that we have forming. Here's another one right here. We decided to do one sort of as a pop-up just in the middle of nowhere because we wanted to have it next to this pond. I believe the locations off memory are going to be here, here, here. There's one in there, one in here. Obviously, bag end up there, 1, 2 more there, and then one here on the front side. So there'll be a number, I think it's 11 total that we decided to settle out at. We thought that was a good number because we got to add in all the fences, the gardens, the patches. We want to do some pig patches, etc. We are going to look at some large resin trees potentially, or big scratch built ones. One going there. I think 2 we're going to go over there. 1 on the top of bag end, and I think that's it. So this is kind of our party tree area with our little flat. running up to a small embankment. We are going to be running a bocage sort of hedgerow down, and it's going to follow along this particular road here. And then we'll both cut out here and as well sort of encase party tree area here. A little resin pour there as well as over there. Obviously cascading up through. It's a little hard to see where the roads are now because we did a really good job blending them in, but I'm going from this end here. This road follows up that way, cuts down through there, then back up through here off the table, and then right there. So from a game standpoint, playing it, we kind of wanted to have a way to traverse from end to end using the roads. Obviously, you can cut cross country at any point along here as well. If you guys haven't been following or just new here, you can kind of see the side profile of this. So it starts probably about 8 to 10 inches up here, gets to around a foot, and then cascades down to the front around the 6-inch mark. A little lower through here, but not much. And then bag end is a little bit higher than the other end there. And then it also cascades, but it cascades down to a much lower portion. So really more steep here. So basically if I use my hand, goes up this way, and then it sort of cascades a little bit slower and more subtle through the rest of the table. And then a small sort of, I guess, depression here that's in line with this area here. Actually cuts down lowest to the pond, which makes a lot of sense. So super fun. To be honest, it was a real slog getting all the foam pieces cut to get up to this stage, like just to get these all fitted together. And you guys know that the tiles themselves are each kind of a block of foam. I got to do a little side dressing on these just to get them a little bit flatter. But so far they fit about as tight as we possibly could get, and they all stay in place. Like it's a pretty hefty build in terms of stability, not weight wise. Obviously that's easy to manhandle. But the important part is that we're going to add more and more weight, and so that will actually solidify them from moving around even if somebody were to bump the table. The trick is going to be making sure that we keep the seams as narrow and as subtle as possible. That gets a little easier as you get to this layer of foam, a little more challenging when you get to the Sculptamold, because you do have to actually physically keep that cut in there so the Sculptamold doesn't blend or mesh together and keep your tiles stuck together. And then you're going to probably be able to cover a lot of it through your next top dressing layer, whether it's from plants, flocking, or other sort of topographical features. And I'll certainly walk you guys through that, both in the trials and the challenges along the way, but hopefully a nice, desirable end product. On the topic of that, I think I've showed you guys this a lot. This is all the gamer's grass plants that we have ready for this, and we just keep going back to the pile, to the mix, and then looking forward to getting these all on there as well. Don't forget all of these gamer's grass tufts ready to go on table as well, which is super fun. Once I finish this, which will probably be possibly through the weekend, just get this done and get that solidified. I'm going to set it up, leave it all set up for a week or more. We really aren't going to do too much past. It's a little bit of a stalemate here as Jace needs to get the painting done. We are going to fully paint all these before we do any Sculptamolding. We want to fit them in and then encase them in the Sculptamold, and so that they really become an intricate part and built into the table. We don't want to try to have them added later or try to work around that, just because they really need to be encased and look like they are coming out of the ground. Otherwise we just lose the illusion of that. So Jace will be busy working on that. I will be just doing some more tile prep, getting the edges. You can kind of see here where I've sort of given a skim coat of drywall compound, and that just allows me to fill in any indents, any of the lines, the transitions between foam layers. I'm going to be doing that to all the tiles on all sides, and then give that a nice sand, and that's just going to smooth it out a little bit. It's not functional, it's really more cosmetic, and it's really more of a feels good thing for me, so that I can unify that. We'll obviously be putting a plastic layer or some sort of PVC layer around the whole outside. We'll do that in sections, probably in like 36-inch sections, just to basically encapsulate 2 tiles. and then we'll probably put some Velcro straps or something on that just to sort of press and hold the whole table together when it is all set up for the customer. So there you have it, guys. That's the update. There's not really much to show in terms of like a technique. I think you guys have seen me carve lots of things before, but this table is going to be a little less on the technical side, a little less on the how-to, and really more on the process. So, but if there's anything in particular that I've talked about or that it's upcoming or that I miss in terms of these updates and videos, make sure you guys ask. I'll certainly do a specific video just for you guys. That's part of the tier. If you guys are there, you guys can suggest topics. Suggesting topics for videos is something that I much appreciate. Helps me drive some of the content that I know specifically you guys are interested in. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next video, and I'll catch you in the next update. Cheers.